Welcome back to Tired Old Queen at the Movies. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Now let's go see Steve.
Judd, it's time for you to come in and have a little movie. How about it?
Ooh, Johnny, I decided to do a movie about the rodeo. So I chose 1952's The Lusty Men, directed by Nicholas Ray and starring Robert Mitchum,
Susan Hayward,
and Arthur Kennedy and Arthur Hunnicutt. Now, this movie was made under the auspices of Howard Hughes, who owned RKO at that time. He was also fooling around with Susan Hayward. So he borrowed her over from 20th Century Fox, and they enlarged her part. They all had contracts that said that they couldn't participate in actual rodeo riding, but they all did anyway, despite what their contract said.
Never was a bull that couldn't be rode. There never was a cowboy that couldn't be throwed. You eat a little dirt if you have to.
Arthur Kennedy, Robert Mitchum, and director Nicholas Ray all did a little bit of bull riding to see what this was all about.
Monsters. Sure look mean.
The plot is like this. Robert Mitchum is a broken down, beat up old rodeo star, and he's had enough of the life. He can't ride one more bull. His bones are out, his hips are out, his knees are gone. He's old. And he decides to go back to his old hometown where he has his house, and he stored some money under the porch once. And he takes a job on a farm as a hired hand, and he meets up with this couple who is also a hired hand. The guy, it's Arthur Kennedy, and his wife, Susan Hayward. And they're saving up money so that they can move off and start their own ranch and get their own home and stuff.
I want that ranch.
Well, so do I.
But Arthur Kennedy has always been infatuated with the rodeo, and he starts talking to Mitchum. And of course, Mitchum's, an old hero, and he starts talking about the good old days of rodeo riding.
Why did you quit?
Well, I busted the last 3 ribs I had. Still wouldn't have quit if I hadn't caved in.
And Arthur Kennedy gets it into his head that we could make the quick money we need to start a ranch. I'll become a rodeo star.
Chicken today, feathers tomorrow. Not if he played it smart when he had the chicken.
And Susan Hayward is real skeptical, and she's angry with Mitchum for bringing this up and getting this whole thing going in his head. But sure enough, the two men start off, and she follows in a trailer.
Look, Buster, nobody's getting panicky. I'm just trying to keep us straight.
And then the rest of the movie is about all the dangers and the ups and the downs, and they make the money, and then they gamble, they lose the money, and then they make more money, and they just can't hold it, and there's the fear of the injury and people getting stomped on and hurt. It's a real insider look at the rodeo, and it's fascinating from beginning to end.
It's like dancing with a girl, only you let him lead.
Mitchum was under contract to RKO. He did not like Howard Hughes, but he kind of took it just so he would get done with his contract. This was his first of 2 movies he did with Susan Hayward. He did another one called White Witch Doctor. He used to call Susan Hayward the old gray mare because she was always in a bad mood and cantankerous about everything. When they went in to do this story, they sat Susan down, and Nicholas Ray had a really kind of all over the place way of telling a story. He was telling her that this was what it was about and all those things. And finally Susan said to him, "Look, I'm from Brooklyn. Just tell me the story." So she leaned over and said to Mitchum, "Do you know the story? Tell it to me." So Mitchum said, "Okay, so it's about this guy. He comes rolling into town. He's going to break up a marriage. He doesn't break up the marriage. He falls for her. She likes him enough, but she wants her to stay with her husband. Basically, that's what this is all about." Okay, that's better. That's how they work.
Hey, you're real little with your shoes off.
You're real little with your shoes on.
Nicholas Ray is one of those directors his reputation has really built over the years. Of course, he did the iconic Rebel Without a Cause, but he also did a terrific, really incredible film noir with Humphrey Bogart called In a Lonely Place with Gloria Graham, his then wife. That was a questionable marriage. And he went on to direct a big movie called 55 Days of Peking later on in his career. He was really, really a good director, but a lot of times he didn't get, stuff that really warranted all the stuff that he could do. But he was always sort of a rebel in his own right. He liked doing things his way, and sometimes that worked and sometimes it didn't. He and Mitchum got along like a house on fire because of that, because they were both rebels. Mitchum had ridden the rails. Mitchum had been arrested for vagrancy. Mitchum had worked on chain gangs. Mitchum, you know, it was Mitchum. You know, Mitchum, the whole essence of the Robert Mitchum persona was said perfectly by the title of his biography, Baby, I Don't Care.
Well, some things you don't do for the cash there is in it. Some things you do just for the buzz you get out of it.
Susan at this time had gone from being a starlet at Paramount and wasted. Walter Wanger bought her contract, said, I will create roles for you. I will make you a star. And he was good on his word. He got her a first Oscar nomination in Smash Up, The Story of a Woman. And by 1949, she had another Oscar nomination in Sam Goldwyn's With My Foolish Heart. And Daryl Zanuck bought her contract. And then at Fox, she had a run. She was really doing good, but she had a really bad marriage and she was battling her husband for custody of her kids. So she was unhappy all through that particular period when she was most famous.
That's my brand, sugar.
Arthur Kennedy was one of the great underrated actors in Hollywood. Like Van Heflin, came in, did the job better than probably anybody, and then would just go to the next picture.
I know what I want. I know how to get it.
He got Oscar nominated 6 times during his career, but he was never leading man material. He was always terrific as playing like ne'er-do-well people, like in Some Came Running and Peyton Place and those kind of things.
You're a grown man, Wes. You do what you like.
I aim to.
Arthur Hunnicutt, who's in this movie, is this actor who he was a genuine country guy, you know.
My name's Booker Davis. This here filly here is my daughter, Rusty.
He was always kind of, you know, saying out this country wisdom.
I said, I can't see much. I think there's something dangling. I believe it's my eye. He says, well, it sure is. So men got me a doctor.
And he had a whole career based on that.
You know when this old crowbait's going to be washed up? When he's holding flowers on that fancy shirt and the rodeo band's playing soft and sweet.
I love The Lusty Men because I love movies that take me realistically into another life like that and show me the other side of another life. And this really did. When I was a kid, I loved watching rodeos. I always thought, wow, that's an exciting thing. It's painful. It's not, you know, the exciting is really down the line on that. You know, they're getting tied to, you know, 3,000 pounds of angry bull, you know.
He threw Stubby halfway across the state of New Mexico. Then he run him down and darn near gored and stomped him to death. He's kind of mean.
The scary part of these things is that these bulls are just, they're unpredictable. They climb up over things, they do things. And it really, the camera work is very good. It'll take you right in, right on top of it, you know. So it's got a lot of action. Susan Hayward and Robert Mitchum have great sparks together.
Anytime your plumbing don't work, just call McLeod.
I think you're really going to enjoy this inside look at the world of rodeo. Robert Mitchum, Susan Hayward, and Arthur Kennedy in Nick Ray's The Lusty Men.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go.
Last night I went to Dramdamenta Bandaland.
To get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat.